There's nothing like it. The excitement of Texas Tech men's basketball. And now, with all the pregame analysis from the best, this is KMAC Red Raider Nation's Countdown to Tip-Off.
Good morning and welcome into Red Raider Nation's Countdown to Tip-Off. David Collier alongside Mason Horodisky this morning, getting you ready for Texas Tech and Kansas State at 11 o'clock. Red Raiders looking to cap a busy week with a third Big 12 win in 5 days, Mason, standing in the way a not so imposing Kansas State team.
Yeah, to say the very least. And when you say big, you mean a big week.
Yeah, we'll get to that coming up in the next half hour as we also take a closer look at Bruce Weber's team before today's meeting in the Octagon of Doom.
And also ahead, he's back. Terrence Shannon Jr. will finally suit up for the Red Raiders for the first time since December 14th. How much of an impact will he have for Texas Tech upon his return? Who knows?
And later, Phil Mayer fills us in on what we need to know about today's matchup with the Wildcats. Now, we mentioned the last 5 days for the Red Raiders. If you go back in time to this time last week, Mark Adams' team was getting a chance to take on the 6th-ranked Kansas Jayhawks, right? The Red Raiders telling the Jayhawks, pardon my French, as Clarence Nadolny, with the best performance of his career in his second-ever start. The junior from France scored a career-high 17 points. Bryson Williams matched his season high with 22. No Terrence Shannon, no Kevin McCullough. No problem as the Red Raiders send the Jayhawks back to Lawrence with a 75-67 loss.
And from there, the weekend only got better as Jalen Tyson ended up in Lubbock after all. The former Texas Longhorn, who a certain former Texas Tech basketball coach was actually his first recruit in Austin, decided to transfer to the hub city and became instantly the 3rd highest rated basketball recruit in program history. Now, while he can't play the rest of the year, he's sure to make an impact for Mark Adams and company next season, and who knows, maybe in preparation for that game when the Longhorns come to town. A top 10 win and a huge recruiting splash. It certainly couldn't get any better than that. Could it, David?
No, well, no, it could. I mean, you're on the road against defending national champs Baylor, who were unbeaten, #1 in the country. Hadn't won in Waco since 2016. But Mark Adams, you might remember, fought a bear last year and he won, right? Well, his team did the exact same thing in the Farrell Center earlier this week. The team getting Kevin McCullough back. He was one of 5 Red Raiders in double figures, helped hold the Bears 20 points under their season average in the 65-62 win. Just the 2nd ever win in school history against the #1 team.
And finally, Texas Tech returned home to challenge an uber athletic and nationally underrated, if I do say so myself, Oklahoma State Cowboys unit. It seems like these last 3 games, a different Red Raider was at the forefront of the offense. Saturday, like you said, it was Clarence Nadolny. Tuesday, Adonis Arms. But on Thursday, it was all about Marcus Santos Silva. The super senior posted his first double-double of the year with 10 points and 10 boards en route to a 78-57 win, as the Red Raiders now sit at 3-1 in Big 12 conference play. David, we're going to bring in our friend Phil Mayer in just a couple minutes, but I'm going to take one out of his playbook right now. Fill in the blank for me. This is the biggest week for Texas Tech men's basketball since when?
Well, in the tournament, it would be 2019, and I would argue not necessarily the Final Four. Clearly, that was huge, but, you kind of lost one of those games. I would say the week before that, you beat the 2-seed Gonzaga,
yes,
and then Michigan, and then you follow up with a win over the 1-seed Gonzaga and Anaheim to advance to the Final Four. If I went regular season, though, I'd probably go 07. They beat Kansas and Texas A&M in the same week. Both of those teams were ranked in the top 6 in the country. But the thing is, you get wins like that, you got to follow up and not, I don't know, slack off against a bad team. You don't want to cancel it out, right? And that certainly could be the case later this morning, there in Manhattan. You don't want to lay an egg against a Kansas State team that has not won a game since before Christmas, December 21st to be exact. Bruce Weber's Wildcats losing their first 4 conference games, including a 60-57 setback to TCU on Wednesday at Bramlage Coliseum. Texas Tech's defense causing problems for some of the best scoring offenses in the league this past week. Now they get a Kansas State team that's last in the Big 12 in scoring.
Well, I saw them play against TCU last night, and they play so hard. They were very well coached, and they've got a couple of really good three-point shooters, and we know the three-point line kind of has its way of being an equalizer, so we've got to make sure we're out and contend those shots. But they have a lot of movement, so we're going to have to be ready to guard them for 40 minutes and everybody, because they're just constantly moving and passing the ball. So it'll be a challenge for us. Hopefully we can wake up and be ready to play at 11 in the morning.
All right, time to fill in the blank with Phil Mayer. Phil, looking at this Kansas State roster, you think blank will be a big factor in today's game?
Marquise Noel. This guy is certainly someone that'll catch your eye. He's listed at 5'8" and is proficient as both a scorer and distributor. Noel's actually a native of Manhattan, that being the Big Apple, not the Little Apple, and came to Kansas State from Little Rock, the same school as Chris Beard and Mark Adams were at before Texas Tech. Noel can hit threes off the dribble and has the quickness to knife into the lane for layups, but his passing is really what impresses me. 3 double-doubles in 7 games with assists since becoming the starting point guard. Not a lot of guys in college basketball who can do that for you. On defense, he can be exploited like any guy his size, but he brings some value on that end too. Get this, 7 steals in Kansas State's last game against TCU, so Tech ball handlers will have to be careful dribbling around him. On the other end, keep him away from the middle of the floor.
Doesn't look as good as you in that bolo tie, though.
Yeah, where'd you get that?
Where'd you get that?
More on that later.
More on that later. All right, we appreciate it, Phil. Time for our first break here on Countdown to Tip-Off. Still to come, we look at the rest of the matchups today in the Big 12 Conference.
And later on, we break out the whiteboards for crashing the boards, all that and more right here on Red Raider Nation's Countdown to Tip-Off.